Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Great Debaters Contest. We're in Nakuru region and I am Austin Yombok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Today we are asking whether the third gender rule is ineffectual and should be scrapped. And we have Magamano girls going versus Anestar boys Bahati to answer that question. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Felix Maga from Anestar Boys High School here to propose the motion that states the one that gender rule is ineffectual and should be scrapped off. The underrepresentation of Kenyan women in politics and governance necessitated the formulation of this policy so as to give women a say. Despite the introduction of the two-third gender principle, women parliamentarians continue to experience stereotypes, sexism, and accusation of incompetence. But first, let me define the motion. What is the two-third gender principle? The principle states, and I quote, not more than two-thirds of the members of a particular elective or appointive body should be of the same gender. End of quote, Article 81, Part B of our Kenyan Constitution. Therefore, women are supposed to occupy a third of the remaining seats. Gender, the fact of either being male or female. Rule, statement of what must not, or may be done in a particular situation. Ineffectual, not producing the desired results. And finally, scrapped off, meaning to be done away with. Now, my fellow opponents, one way to meet the one-third gender rule is by nominating women to fill in the gender deficit. Because most are not willing to come out or do not have the leadership qualities the people want to elect. A research from the Institute of Economic Affairs shows that it will cost taxpayers 21.1 million per year, 21.1 million per year for each and every nominated woman member of parliament. If that's not enough, a further 31.3 million per year for each and every nominated woman senator, all amounting to 2.5. Wow, that's a very huge figure, composed of allowances, travel, foreign travels, and salaries. This results in overburdening us, we, the taxpayers. There is time wastage in implementation. There are a lot of amendments which had to be undertaken so as to actualize the realization of the two-third gender principles. There are proposals to be made and published. And these same proposals could be faced with counter proposals. For example, the Chepkonga Bill, which tried to show that the two-third gender bill cannot be realized without the provision of a clear time frame. Now, my fellow opponents, let us join hands and steer this ship towards one common goal of scrapping off this law for good. Let democracy prevail. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to make your opening statements.
When history repeats itself, the price goes up. We're no longer in that traditional era where women were taken as babysitters and cooks. And this rule, the one-third gender rule, is trying to improve the status of women. From Magamano girls, I'm Susan Karinga, and I'm here to strongly oppose the motion that the one-third gender rule is ineffectual and should be scrapped off. The one-third gender rule states that no more than two-thirds of a particular gender shall occupy appointive or elective seats of a public office. To scrap off is to do away with, and the gender is the state of being male or female. And to my first point, the one-third gender rule promotes equality. Each person has been given an opportunity to take part in development by this one-third gender rule. Both men and women have been given equal chances to compete for jobs and opportunities in all sectors. A good example is the just concluded party primaries. Both male and female were given opportunities to vie for the governance positions in different posts. The one-third gender rule encourages women empowerment. Women have been given a chance to express themselves and in terms of governance and leadership, as well as other sectors of the economy. It has helped women take up the careers that were once male-dominated. A good example is engineering careers. Women are now pursuing these careers. We have a woman such as Elizabeth Wanjala and Shalom Jerry who are driving the standard gauge railway trains. If we do away with this rule, what will we be reducing our women to? They're going to stay in the villages and look after children and go to the market and do such stuff. The one-third gender rule discourages institutionalized biasness. All institutions are supposed to have a representation in both genders, regardless of what the institution does. As a lady, and I know I'm speaking for most ladies when I say this, I can work in any institution whatsoever. I can work in a bank, I can work in a hospital, I can work in a school. So why reduce me to being a housewife or taking care of children or doing such stuff? Why do we want to scrap this rule that is elevating the status of our women? The rule is making us as women to take part in the development of our economy, to take part in the development of us as a nation. It is helping us to do things that were thought to be only done by males. So I think we should all oppose this motion that the one-third gender rule should be scrapped off. Thank you.
Okay, cross-examinations now. Proposition, you have 3 minutes.
Proposing the motion, I am Kelvin Mwangi from Anestar Boys High School, Bahati. I appreciate the comments made by my fellow debater. But she talked of women and careers. I think she never got it right in Article 81B of the Constitution that was promulgated in the year 2010. It talks of elective positions, not public offices and not careers. The representation of women in Kenyan parliaments has been and remains minimal. We have only 9.8% of the women in the 10th parliament and 98.2% of men in the 10th parliament also. Great people, do you know that in the 11th parliament, we only have 20.7% as women? Do you know? And do you know that that is the least percentage, the smallest percentage, the least percentage in East Africa? When this bill was brought to parliament, it was shot down. Women were discouraged and they said that they will do more lobbying. But what happened in the just concluded party primaries? We had only 10 women vying for gubernatorial positions. And we can even name them. Anno Iguru and Martha Karua of Kirinyaga County. Joyce Laboso of Bomet County. Charity Ngilu of Kitui County. We have Bishop Margaret Wanjiru of Nairobi County. Anne Anyanga of Migori County. We have Wavinya Ndeti of Machakos County. We have also Cecily Mbarire of Embu County. We have also Atieno Otieno of Kisumu County. And lastly, we have Mabel Muruli of Kakamega County. Back in the year 2011, the Kenya Law Reforms Commission and the Interim Independent Electoral Commission, the IEEC, came up with a formula in the proposed draft of the elections bill on how to implement the one-third gender rule in parliament. But men hit the roof in the then male-dominated cabinet. And you know what, great people? The proposal was dropped. Anyway, how do you convince a man who has resolved to run in a particular constituency that this constituency is a woman candidate-only constituency? One was that saying, I quote, "Hizi viti zina wenyewe," end of quote. And that is true. Because you can't convince me to change my decision of becoming a member of parliament because you want a woman to get through. Is it applicable, people? It isn't. Our parliamentarians are now faced with the dilemma of either passing the law within the remaining few days or risking the next parliament being dissolved. Think about it, great people. Thank you. I rest my case.
Opposition will hear your cross-examination. You have 3 minutes.
I'm Maureen Muringi Nyanjui from Magamano Girls, and I'd like to start by saying a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. My colleague here has talked about the women who vied for elective posts in these party primaries. But have you noted a difference between 2013 and now 2017? Due to this gender rule, there is an improvement. Last time, there were less than 5 who tried to vie, but now it is double. Then, you've talked about the gender rule. It's supposed to bring up women. It was not only meant for women. It was meant to balance the women and the men. So we can also have a parliament of 2/3 women and 1/3 men. So, on to my points. I'll start by saying, this rule has improved the quality of politics and governance. The making of this rule has brought about the participation of both the woman and the man in the making of rules, in the budgeting of our country, in policy formulation, and due to this, there is an oversight to the prioritization of men and women benefits. On to my second point. Due to this rule, there has been a change of the patriarchal culture of Kenya. You know, a while ago, a woman was viewed as, that person who's so weak, she's unable, and all she can manage is children in the house. But this rule has changed things. Like now, Anne Waiguru came up before because she was a cabinet secretary. And she was involved in that because of the one gender rule. But now we see her vying for a gubernatorial seat. She was first brought up by the 1/3 rule. And because of that, it has pushed her back into her county. And now this has brought up an improvement. She's convinced the men and the women, it's not only the men that can lead, but also the women can lead. On to my third point. In 1992, Kenya signed a convention with the UN saying that they will improve the gender equality issues in Kenya. Someone might want to know, what was this convention about? In 1992, still women had not even risen up from down there. Most of them were not even educated, but now they are. And because of that, they are being engaged in the development of our country and in the improvement of our infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in strongly opposing the scrapping off of this one gender rule. Thank you.
We'll get questions from the audience now. The proposers have been asked if the 1/3 gender rule is to be scrapped, then who will represent the interests of women? And the opposition have been asked how the 1/3 gender rule benefits men. We'll have them respond now. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes.
First of all, I agreed for a moment with my fellow. You might think she confused it, but no, her subconscious deep down agreed that it is a man's place. You remember the point when she said it belongs to men? Well, she was right. She was not confusing. No. I didn't quite get the name of the guy who asked the question, but the answer is in your question, represent. We elect leaders in Kenya so that they can represent, irrespective of their gender, whether male or female. Now, who say that only women can represent, can air out women's issues? Besides, the parliament is already overcrowded, and Kenyans are considering on cutting down the number of representatives. For starters, the number of women candidates is not close to 1/3 the total number of aspirants. In the year 2013, she was wrong, by the way. She said that the number increased. No, it did not increase, it decreased. the previous general election, 2013, the number of women vying for senatorial, gubernatorial seats were only 19. 19 out of 237. Now, you know what this means? The rest of the 218 are left for who? Who? Men. Now, why should you ask women to take up things they're not interested in, posts they're not interested in? There is also this other matter, where the male parliamentarians refer to women representatives as flower girls and bonga points. Bonga points, yeah, right. And they don't take anything they have to say seriously. These male parliamentarians look at the bill as an affront to democracy, for it will give women free seats, because let's face it, that is free seats. Why be given a seat you've not even vied for? So, and they were understanding that women should fight on the same footing as men. We should be equal. Besides, some also see it as a way of giving people's girlfriends seats, because nomination is done by a few bunch of people, not the whole nation, so it might be biased to some point. Now, to achieve the one-third principle, the parliament needs 117 women parliamentarians. But then, supposing in the next general election, they not elect any women, apart from the 47 women representatives, they'll have to nominate 70 women. In the year 2013, they nominated 50. Now, this is a clear indication that the rule is failing. Why bother to campaign about a rule that is not working? The numbers tell it. So, Kenya is a democratic country. And what is democracy? Democracy is a form of governance where the people choose their leaders by voting. If these women are given these free seats, why not let the women go out there in many numbers, vie for that elective post, and then we see who will come out a winner? I believe that only God's rule cannot be altered, and the rest is born to change. If women came out in large numbers today and they were elected, would the members of parliament suggest that the exceeding number of women be removed from parliament? No, they will simply scrap off the rule. So, why waste the time? Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience questions.
My name is Brennan Eloba from Magamano Girls. On to the first question. The gentleman over there asked, what will be the benefit of the women if the third gender rule is not scrapped off? You asked what is the benefit of the women to the men. So let us take it on a personal level. So with all due respect, what is the benefit of a wife to a husband? Will you build a family on your own? No. So the same responsibilities, the major responsibilities a wife has in a house is the major responsibilities that a lady, a woman representative, will have in a parliament. There is no need of scrubbing off a rule that will represent the women. Let's take, for example, the population of Kenya. It has 51.4%. I repeat, 51.4% of the population of Kenya is of women. So if you tell me 2/3 of the men representative to be in the government, who will present the women? Don't think that men know everything about women. We as women understand ourselves. There is a part of women that the men cannot understand. That's why we were created at different times. That's why man was created first and a lady was created second. A woman was created because she was meant to be a helper to the men. So if you stand over here and dwell in the chauvinistic society and say that women representatives are not required, that they're just representing petty issues like flower girls and bonga points, I cannot believe that. And judges, I just want you to understand how much it pains me to hear my fellow debaters say such a thing upon women. Women were given this rule so that they can be empowered. Those were the starting points. They had to start because they were new to the governing society. So if they were to start, they were to start on the small issues. So this rule empowers them to be big leaders like Anwai Guru, Shebesh. Those are great women leaders that we know in the country. So why should the third gender rule be scrubbed off? tell me, why should the gender rule be scrubbed off? There's so many ladies over here who are going to go with me, isn't it? Yes. The third gender rule should not be scrubbed off. You are pushing us down to the ground, and we do not deserve that. Ladies need to be upheld. Big countries, let's take for example Liberia. It is led by Ellen Sirleaf, a female president, and we all know Liberia. Liberia is a big West African country. It is a country that was never colonized. So what does that depict about that country? It is a strong country. So are we going to dwell in the chauvinistic society that Kenya has decided to be? Or are we going to change and give women their chance? Thank you.
Final submissions now. Proposition, you have a minute.
You know what I think about the bill? I think that if a woman wants something so bad, you should go out there and prove it. Why should you rely and depend on something that is on some sort favoring you? Why should you say we have a 1/3 rule? If you have that burning desire, that passion, just think of it. Every time when you want something and you want it real bad, do you care if there is any rules? No, you go for it and you go for it hard. Now, there is no need for the 1/3 rule. There is also the Chepkonga bill. It suggested that it should grow systematically. Chepkonga knows that women cannot fill up the 1/3 currently. You know why most of them are like that? You cannot compare the number of women educated to male, especially after the independence. And let's face it, they're the ones who are leading us. Most of them are born between 1960 to 1970. I think that a leader should be chosen for what he has. The criteria of education, and believe me, what I think is hardly long. Now, I think that women should stop fighting for the 1/3 rule. Go out there and face the men. Thank you.
Opposers, you also have a minute.
I'll start with a quote of Michael Dell. He said that there is always an opportunity for a difference. Do you know Elizabeth Murami? She is the first female Kenyan marine pilot. She is a lady from our country. She was empowered and she became first female, reckon that part, the first female marine pilot from Kenya. So what does that show us? Female have the urge. They know what they're doing. We will not stand in a chauvinistic society. I'm going to go on a point that the second proposer has said from this side. He was worried about the money that the government the charges that the government is going to undergo just because of allowing women in the government. Are you concerned about the money, or are you concerned about the change that both of us will bring together if we're in the same level? Both men and women will bring a great society if we merge up together. The men have a different IQ. The women have a different IQ. So if we match up those intellectual quotients, we'll come up with a great thing. So please walk with me and say that the third gender rule is effectual and should not be scrubbed off. Thank you.
Susan, I think you matched up with Felix. You kind of matched up because you really tried to also define terms and everything else. What stood out for you is that you're very passionate. But for Alex, not bad. The positive side about Alex is that you also gave a good history of where this came from, gave good citations, definition of terms, and also a logical engagement, realistic, which was very good. And so your passion as well sort of balanced with the Anestar boys. That was good role playing for the first speakers. For the second speakers, Kevin Mwangi and Maureen. First of all of you understood your roles. Cross-examination, that was very good. You all cross-examined each other, and that was well done. For Kevin, well done research. I can't believe you would name all the 10 aspirants. I was holding my breath, and you did it. So congratulations for that. I don't know whether you're so political that you followed all through. However, when you mention any statement in Swahili, we have non-Swahili speakers who watch the show. It's good to explain. When you say hizi vitu ni za wenyewe, explain what that means, okay? Maureen, I love the rebuttal as well, that we can also have a parliament of two-thirds women, That was probably a paradigm shift that you're saying we also can also be. And I think that was also a very good rebuttal to the other side. Michael and Brenda, let me start with Michael. Michael, I think you're very smart, and you have a very smart way of tackling questions. So good cross-examination. I love even the ending when you said that everyone deserves an equal chance, face the men. That was a very good ending for your team, and I think you also stood out as a confident speaker. Brenda, very passionate, and I love that because now that was what you used to appeal to our emotions. Cross-examination, audience engagement, and also the ending. That was very powerful. To the boys, I was wondering, you give the example of East Africa, and I was wondering, what are these countries doing? Have they effected the one-third rule, or are the women more aggressive than that? That's still a question, and I hope that you will answer me even if it's on the sideline. But all the best to the two teams.
Thank you to the two teams on stage. I think that debate was very thought-provoking. Do we begin with the girls or the boys?
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Do we begin with the girls or the boys?
Ladies first.
I'm hearing a lot of girls, so ladies first. Magamano Girls High School, you have 67%. Please give them a round of applause. Drum roll, Anestar Boys have 71%, making them the winners.
Very well, congratulations to the two teams on stage. We'd like to thank you, members of the audience, and also our viewers back home for watching. Keep it locked on KBC Channel 1 for the Great Debaters Contest. I've been your host, Austin Nyumbok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. We'll see you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.